Alright folks, Trevor Wiest here, and today we're going to look at my live rig setting on my Ax8. So this is the preset that I normally use for most gigs that require rock to pop to funk, a little bit of country, R&B, and even some heavier stuff. So let's look at the guitar I'm using right now. I have an SS62 by Glory Guitars. It's a really cool guitar, very versatile. And I have a cat who just happens to, whenever I've turned on the camera, this guy just jumps up and he wants to get attention. So this is a really cool guitar, pretty funky sounding, but I'm just going to go through some of the main preset setting that I have. I like to use pretty much one preset live. And I think that way it's a little bit easier just to get more consistency with sound, unless I'm going to something heavier. So right now, let's start out with the amp, what I got. I use the ODS 100 clean model. As you can see here in my settings, I kind of bring down the bass a little bit. I have a control switch setting to kick it into boost. So if you hear just like it clean, maybe turn down the gain just a hair here so you can hear it. Okay. That's it clean. I have a boost setting where I hit the control boost, as you can see on the screen here. I try to use that as the boost for the amp. I use the overdrive boost setting more than I use the pedals. It gives it a little bit more of that amp crunch instead. So I use that first, and yeah, let's look at kind of the other settings I have here. Speaker settings, you can see here. A Variac set to 100%. It's kind of cool. Graphic EQ is pretty much in the middle. I brought down. Actually, I have the bass up just a little bit, but overall, this is my amp setting. You can see it here. The saturation drive. So what happens is when you click this on, actually I have it set to boost, but you can have it set so it's when the saturation drive is up, it boosts it a little bit more. It gives it a little bit more bite. So first, clean, a little bit of gain, and I use that for a lot of even my leads too. So now let's look at my cab. Alright, now I remember spending a lot of time just kind of using my ear to figure out a good sound. So 1x12 vintage Mars mix. I don't know what it's trying to model. You could probably look that up on the Fractal Audio site to see with the actual one what it's supposed to be. But it's a pretty cool sound. I like the sound of the smaller speakers. It seems like it cuts a little bit more. But that's the cab sound on the left, and the cab sound on the right is a 4x12. So it gets that kind of heavier sound mixed in with a more crunchy top end sound. Alright, let's look at my drive. So the cool thing about this unit, you can set it up to A/B switch, and you can assign any of the 8 presets to anything you want. So it's pretty cool. So let's look at the Footswitch setup. This is what I see when I look down at the pedal board. This is my control switch, so that gives you the extra boost. Right now I have it set for a boost. And clean, we kind of went over it already. Boost. Next to that I have the delays. So you can A/B these too. I think that sounds about like 300 millisecond. Let's look at it, see what I got here. Okay, delay 1. And under the A setting, under the X setting, it's a ping pong delay, so it'll go back and forth. And then if I put it on Y, let's click it again. Here we go. Just set to 300 milliseconds, and I brought it up just a little bit. Now I try to change that up a little bit depending on the venue. I got my country tone in here somewhere. Yes, here we go. 124 milliseconds. Gets that kind of country slapback sound. I think around 120 milliseconds is a good speed for that. I have it set at 11% mix. Let's try the other switch, see what I got here. Oh, it takes a second for it to do this. Alright, 1 second. Here we go. Yep, another 300 millisecond. A dotted eighth. So this is tap tempo. Sometimes I bring this up. Yeah, I'm going to change this a little bit. Let's listen to this sound. So this is how you get that kind of U2 sounding thing. And now I'm on to my favorite things. I have the multi-delay. Now this thing is pretty cool. Easy cat. 1 second. This is cool. I like this sound a lot. So let's dive into it. Let's look at it. I have to move this over here. Alright. Right now it's set to plex delay. So the cool thing about plex delay, it's a bunch of delays that are happening at the same time. And I think that's pretty awesome. So right now I have 4 delays going on at once. And it gives it kind of this reverby sound. So I'm thinking of a song off of this EP by Radio Church. You should buy it because it's pretty fun. There's a song called 2+2 where I use a similar effect live. I use on the record is done in post. We had added all the effects afterwards, but when I play it live I use this. So it's really good for like a padding kind of sound. Cat's ears, he's attacking my guitar, so anything gets muted. And a lot of times I'll use that instead of reverb, partially because it's the processing power. I can't add another reverb to it. With this, the Ax8 3 I can. And the other thing is too, if you're playing in a room, sometimes you don't want to have too much ambient sound just because the room will fill it out, and it's a little easier for it to be mixed if it's not as wet going into the system. Alright, let's look at my very fun chorus sound. I just have a stereo chorus. Mostly just use my ear on what sounded good. Let's A-B switch it here to the Y. Pretty much the same thing. There's a bunch of different options you can do. You can have more of an 80s kind of flangey chorus sound. And then, compression. Let's talk about that. I have a little bit of a compressor set up. Oh. Here's my chorus setting. And here's my compression setting. Sorry, that's what we're talking about right now. And drive. So last we have drive, and I generally use a drive to keep. One more thing, we have a filter that I use for a boost, but drive I generally use that just to give it the little extra oomph that it needs. And let's switch it to another setting. I'm going to try what else do I have on here. Oh, let's see. Yeah, I use a tube drive 3 knob for that more saturated sound. And if I'm like recording, a lot of times I'll use a different amp. I'll use like maybe something like a Plexi model, or what's similar to the 5150 on here. But for live, I like using the same drive sound as the cabinet that I'm using. Essentially, I have the same, pretty much the same frequency. I'm just driving more of it. I feel like that cuts through a little easier in a mix. So that's why I use this. Okay, now on top of all this, if I really want to play loud, which is fun to do on guitar, I have a filter, and that's how I boost it. I use the filter setting on here, and let's see how many dB I have it boosted. Okay, so check this out. Yes, so this is the level. This is where it comes in. I have a 4 dB boost, and I don't like normally going more than that. I feel like it can clip if it goes too loud, and it's sometimes just way too much of a jump. Depends on what you're playing with, but I think that's enough of a boost. More than enough of boost. Sound guys can catch it. They can bring it up, change the EQ if they need to on it. But I use a 4 dB boost at the moment. I can change it. And how it works right here, I can dive in more on this in other videos and how to manipulate through the Ax8 and the Ax Edit settings. But the level here, if it's set to 0, it doesn't change. If it's set to how many dB you say here, that's how many dB it's going to boost. So I put that at the end of the main chain. I have a couple offshoots of it, so it doesn't totally bring it up by 4 dB. It's somewhere probably, I don't know the exact amount it would bring it up because I have the other chains coming out of it. Actually, probably I could delete one of these. I sometimes use these just to clean it up. It's nice not having it always on one signal. If you can split it up a little bit, it gives it a little different. Seems like it's just a cleaner. And also, if you can pan things differently too, you could send one over here. That gets more complicated than I need though. A lot of times, I'd like to keep it fairly simple for live. And then I use a lot of the same sounds in the studio too. All right, folks. So in a nutshell, this is my live setup for my Ax8. This is what I use most of the time on gigs wherever I use the Ax8. I start out with this, and I can get a lot of tones just out of this. It's pretty cool. Hope this was helpful. Let me know what you guys think. What else you guys want to look at for like different guitar tones and stuff too. Until next time, I'll see you guys later. Okay. And here's a cool little lick after I turn on the guitar. Alright, see you guys later.